So the very first thing we learned about chemistry is that it's the study of matter. So I guess it's pretty important that we understand what matter actually is. So matter is anything, any substance that has mass and has volume or takes up space. And all matter has different physical properties. So a physical property is some characteristic of that material that you can observe or measure without actually changing the composition or what that material actually is. And I'm going to go through a handful of them, but there are a lot more than what is just included in this list. So I've got viscosity, conductivity, malleability, hardness, melting slash boiling point, specific heat, density. And I'm going to talk about what each one of these are in particular. So viscosity is the tendency of a liquid to keep from flowing. So if we say that something is a viscous liquid, then it is very thick, like honey, so it resists flowing. Now, if we change the temperature of a substance, it can change the viscosity of that substance. However, by changing the temperature, we haven't really changed what that substance is. Conductivity. Conductivity is the ability to allow heat or electricity to flow through a substance. And any material that has high conductivity are called conductors. Now, there are other substances that when you melt them or you dissolve them in water, they can also conduct electricity, and they're called electrolytes. And we'll learn about them more in the next, as the semester goes on. Hardness, now you may remember this if you've taken earth science already, you learn about comparing the hardness of different minerals. So it's actually a comparison between two different substances, and it's a scratch test. So if one substance will scratch another, then then it's considered to be a harder substance. So if you look here, actually this person's using a diamond tipped X-Acto knife in order to cut glass. Malleability is the ability of a solid to be hammered without shattering. So if you think about a blacksmith putting, a long piece of metal into some burning coals, and then they hammer it in order to change its shape. So something that's malleable is something that is bendable or not brittle. Melting points and boiling points. So this is the temperature at which a substance will go from a liquid to a gas. That would be the boiling point. And melting point is the point at which a substance will go from a solid to a liquid. Specific heat is the amount of energy it takes to raise 1 gram of a substance by 1 degree Celsius. So just sort of put that in layman's terms, it's how quickly or how easily something will heat up or cool down. So a good example is like a boiling pot of water. So if I put, a pot on the stove and it's filled with water, metals have very low specific heats, meaning it doesn't take a lot of energy to heat them up. And that's why the pot gets hot really, really fast. However, water has an extremely high specific heat. It takes a lot of energy to change its temperature. So although the pot will heat up very quickly because it's made out of metal, it takes several minutes in order to get the water to start boiling and to increase its temperature. And lastly, I'm just going to mention density. So density is a mass to volume ratio. So to calculate it, we just take the mass of the substance and divide it by the volume of the substance, and that gives us the density of that metal, or whatever, we're measuring. And density can be used actually to measure the purity of a substance. So here I've got some gold rings. If you think about, wanting to know if you have something that's pure gold, one of the most accurate ways of determining that is by looking at the density. All right. So one quick thing that I just want to show you before I end this video is on your reference table. So on the very front of your reference tables, it's important to note that there are some common metals listed and some of their physical properties. So we've got specific heat, density, and melting point. And using these physical properties, we can actually identify an unknown substance. So just keep in mind that you have that at your fingertips.